Yo, what's up, guys? It's another WBR pod coming at you guys. This is going to be the aftermath of Hell in a Cell and the Raw that followed immediately after. What do you got to say about this?
Man, I'm really excited, I got to tell you. That was one hell of a weekend.
A lot went down.
I thought Hell in a Cell was going to be a lot less impactful, but man, there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we were pretty down on the predictions video, but all in all, turned out to be a pretty good pay-per-view in my event.
Yeah, my expectations definitely were really low. They exceeded my expectations.
All right, let's just jump right into it. We'll skip the foreplay. We'll jump right into the main event. Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker, the trilogy. Go.
Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying, compared to the second match, which was the one that was at SummerSlam, this was 10 times better than that match.
Leagues better.
Like, I couldn't even believe how bad that one is. I was kind of thinking maybe there's a chance it's going to be as bad, but man, this was really entertaining. Such a good match. They were pulling out all the stops, and like how much they were bleeding, it made me think they really wanted to make it a good show, because everybody had their low expectations.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But the way they put on the show was great. They exposed the ring, did all their things. I thought it was actually a really good main event.
Yeah, I thought it's because Undertaker had time to prep more than the other pay-per-view, so he's in better shape. And these kind of matches are kind of his forte, based on his character, experience, the whole shebang. He really excels in these kinds of matches.
Yeah, and then when they exposed the ring,
oh yeah,
he did his tombstone on him, the kick out, just the multiple F5s.
It was a heart stopper. But what do you think about? Because you know how they don't do chair shots to the head anymore. I don't know why the commentary kept going like, because the Undertaker would kind of like absorb the blow with his hands, but the commentary will, oh yeah, right in the jaw.
Yeah,
I was like, I thought you guys weren't doing that anymore.
I think it's a product of these two aren't really there too often.
Yeah. So
I don't think they know what the new rules are, how you can't hit on the head and stuff like that.
I think they just don't care as much, which is kind of leads to all the bleeding you're talking about, because you know the whole PG WWE nowadays, they're not too down for the bloody stuff.
Yeah.
Because the rumors are Vince is furious about them having a match so bloody. He wasn't on board allegedly, but they did it anyways.
Wow, that's an interesting take on it. But I really think that it's because they're just not there as often and they don't know what the rules are.
Yeah. Well,
I really think so. It looked like they wanted to hit him on the head, but then halfway when he was about to hit him, he's kind of like, oh wait,
absorbs with his hands, and the commentary is like, oh, did you see that? Right in the jaw, clean. I'm like, wait, what? He clearly blocked it with his hands. But I mean, the blood thing I understand, because there's the whole safety concerns. AIDS is a big problem. You know, you don't want to be mixing blood like that. But to me, Hell in a Cell, like a big part of Hell in a Cell, the pinnacle of it is like the bloodiness. Because let's be honest, a lot of WWE fans like, you know, really gory, excessive matches like those. It's not every pay-per-view that they do that, but definitely I feel if you are gonna bust out some blood, you know, take a couple hard bumps, Hell in the Cell is definitely the pay-per-view to do it.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. But one thing is really funny about the WWE is they always milk the fact when like real stuff happens.
Yeah.
When Seth Rollins broke John Cena's nose, that was, of course, it was real. You see the slow-mo. They show you it multiple times every Raw pay-per-view. They want you to know that he broke his nose. They use it for his promos the next 3 times. So then when this happened, like the bloodiness, the commentators were all talking about it. It's just making a huge deal. They love to milk the things that go down that are real, like real injuries.
Oh, yeah,
they
definitely
love to milk it.
Well, you got to use what you're given. But this one, it's slightly different though, right? Because we're not 100% sure if it was a work, if they used the razor blades, you know, or whatever other techniques they have, because they did it pretty well.
Yeah, because Seth Rollins breaking John Cena's nose.
Oh, that was 100% like not on purpose, accidentally on purpose. The greatest thing
for sure. Oh, so then Brock Lesnar wins.
Yep. Via
the low blow. You know, it's kind of tacky, but hey, I didn't mind that.
Yeah, but
I didn't mind it.
No, it was tacky, but it was so obvious. I was like, why didn't we think of that? Like, we thought through all the options, how they could have made a good match. I never thought Brock to do a low blow, but it's so obvious.
Yeah, it really is. You know, that's how Undertaker won, and he kept doing it before on their promos. And then, so after Brock Lesnar wins, the Wyatt family comes.
Yep.
after Bray Wyatt has already lost.
Yeah.
Against Roman Reigns.
Well, he addresses that in Raw, so we can kind of get back. It was kind of interesting. And then they bring Undertaker out in kind of like a crucifix position.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It looked like that.
It looked like that, but the commentary did not want to say the word crucifix. They were saying anything else. They're they're symbolically gesturing him out, bringing him out. It's like, they're really careful with the words they say because those are kind of touchy words.
When I was watching it, I literally made that exact same analogy with everybody. They're like, yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. The same thing happened with Kane on Raw the next day. But that was the main event. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a lot better than I thought it would have been, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty solid. Let's talk about the match that stole and changed the course of the WWE history for the foreseeable future. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm talking about John Cena's U.S. Open Challenge. And guess who comes out? Alberto Del Rio himself.
That's it. This to me was the greatest thing that happened in Hell in a Cell. Not only that, it's the best thing that's happened in the last few pay-per-views. I've watched Alberto Del Rio. He made a couple podcasts, or he was a guest on a few podcasts.
Yep.
Talking about the WWE, how they fired him, all this. I thought the bridge between them was long burnt.
Yeah.
Completely.
Money talks, man.
Money talks. Vince McMahon. This shows, back to your point a couple Raws ago, you were saying how they're really, really desperate for ratings. This is the biggest desperation. Vince McMahon has so much pride.
Yeah.
No way he's going to get on his knees and ask for Alberto Del Rio to come back after humiliating him. But he did it. And he would do it for money.
Well, he does everything for the company, though, right, Vince?
Of course.
He will swallow his pride for the company. That's why WWE has been afloat.
But if he didn't have to...
Oh, he definitely wouldn't. Not. Yeah, of course not.
Another thing is, this is a big deal for the ratings. Because the Mexican audience has been watching other shows like there's that Lucha
Underground?
Lucha Underground. Yeah. That's doing really well, especially in the Mexican market. But this is a great way to bring back that market. That's a big thing for me.
But it's so funny because they know it's great for the Mexican market. That's why they use Zeb as his kind of, I don't know, Paul Heyman figure-esque kind of guy, his consultant or whatever.
Manager, they call it.
Yeah. Because Zeb is the ultimate, 100% real American, old school kind of guy. Because I thought when he first came out, I'm like, oh my god, is Jack Swagger gonna accept this U.S. challenge? I might as well turn off this pay-per-view. But I was thoroughly wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Zeb Coulter, amazing character. Honestly, he's such a good speaker, and the way he delivers everything. And he's on that little that car thing. I don't know what it's called.
Segway kind of pushing car thing.
It's hilarious. And then when he had his promo with Alberto Del Rio next day on Raw, how they're calling it Mex America.
Mex Americans or something like that. And he has the audacity to call Neville an immigrant.
Yeah, it's great. And then what happened was, Alberto Del Rio had so much beef with Jack Swagger before. Yeah. That's what makes it so interesting to me, how they're, coexisting so well together. I'm just curious to see how this plays out.
Flawlessly, yeah. So was there any other matches that caught your eye in the pay-per-view before we move on?
The pay-per-view, I'm glad that Seth Rollins won his match clean. That I think we both predicted that, right? Yeah, we both predicted it.
It didn't make sense otherwise. Other than that, Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, they put on a pretty good match, I'm gonna say.
I thought that was, in terms of actual the fight itself. Yeah. I thought that was the best one. But the problem is, you more or less know the result before it happens. Yeah. But everything in between, I think it was the best in terms of the match quality.
Yeah. The stuff they did with the tables and all that stuff, pretty solid.
I think Bray Wyatt is really underrated. Yeah. He doesn't get enough credit. Yeah. He always loses matches.
I think it was a really good match, but the problem is it's because Roman Reigns won. Yeah. And the WWE universe is split on him, so they're not going to get the credit they deserve in terms of the quality of match they put on.
I thought the other match, Charlotte versus Nikki Bella, I really wanted Paige to interrupt or at least do something, but she ends up doing it on Raw the next day. Which is fine by me. I just thought it was going to happen sooner, and I'm glad to see her finally.
Last point on that, I like the match because they're working the angle of injury. How they kept working on Charlotte's back so she can't do the figure 8 lock that she does.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, because they don't do that enough before, like, they'd work a specific body part, or if they have a injured ribs or whatever, they would consistently go after it as a different element in the match where they're kind of handicapped. They can't maybe do their finisher or whatever. They got to incorporate those more overall.
Oh, okay, like in the men's division?
Oh, just wrestling overall. Okay, well, I guess that wraps it up for Hell in a Cell. Overall rating?
I predicted that it was going to be about... I was thinking it's going to be about a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go as far as 7.5 out of 10 here.
7.5.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot better than I thought it would have been.
Yeah. I'd have to agree. 7 for me.
7, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
So we'll jump right into the Raw that happened immediately after. That's October 26th, live at San Diego. Mm-hmm. So the opening segment, the Authority comes out and they kind of really pumped Seth Rollins' ego. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so this Raw, I'm just going to talk about it as a whole really quick. I thought this was a great Raw.
Yeah.
I really did. This is such a good way. You know how there was so many matches?
Yeah.
There were so many matches. Usually it's promos or matches you don't really care about.
Yeah, I got to say it was one of the best Raws in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they used the pay-per-view to transition into Raw was genius. It was the best way to do the Raw after.
I thought so too. Usually you won't pay attention to the actual matches that's in a Raw. It's just like a promo. Those are the most exciting parts. They really focused on the matches and the wrestling, and it had implications
because they had real stipulations, right?
They did, and that's what made it really interesting. Although you could predict who was going to win most of the matches, it didn't matter to me because you saw a lot of things that made it seem like it had an impact.
Yeah.
So as for the beginning, the Authority starting off, I really thought that was good. I was expecting Alberto Del Rio to open the Raw, which I would have been perfectly fine with. But the Authority, they're just so good on the mic. The way they were doing their promo and then Seth Rollins came. Yeah. I actually thought this was a really good way of starting Raw.
Yeah.
But then when Roman Reigns' music came on, obviously he's going to be the one who's going to be in the title race.
Yeah, but you could definitely see the difference in mic skills between the Authority and Seth Rollins compared to Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Because in one little 10-minute segment, the Authority set up the entire Raw, and they didn't have to show their faces again for the rest of the show.
Yeah, and then when Roman Reigns come, you see the contrast, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yep. So we'll quickly move over it. Roman Reigns has a match with Kofi Kingston, and the winner of the winners, they go into a fatal 4-way for the main event.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's every match matters pretty much.
Yeah.
Because the matches determine who's going to be in the main event. I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, we'll go through the results of those matches because they're a little bit less important. We'll go through the other things that didn't affect the fatal 4-way of the Raw. So the next one we're going to talk about the 6-man tag between PCB versus Team Bella.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the match itself, I actually thought it was better than the usual 6-man tag matches.
I'm just sick of 6-man tag matches.
I am as well. But compared to usual, it was a little bit better, I thought.
Yeah, but the real storyline comes after the match. Mm-hmm. So Nikki hits Becky with the rack attack, gets the pin, and then Paige is kind of late to save her or accidentally didn't save her, and then she turns heel.
Yes.
I know you're a huge Paige fan, so I'm gonna give you the mic here.
It all started before that when they had their little promo backstage. She was saying like she promises to not do this. I did not expect her to turn on them that fast after she said that. I thought there was going to be like 2 or 3 weeks. There's going to be like some turmoil, some tension going on.
Yeah.
And then the next pay-per-view, she goes all out and like causes Charlotte to lose her title or something. I thought she would make her lose her title. That's what I thought. But since this happened during that Raw, it really surprised me. And I love it because she can do anything she wants. The crowd's still going to love her for it. She can play dirty, do all that. She's an anti-hero.
Right.
And I love that about her.
So you think they're going to go in a direction where it's Paige versus the world and these women's division teams, they stay together, they continue doing their 6-man, and she's kind of just a vigilante running around trying to go for the title? Because where would that put Nikki Bella? Like, then she'd have to wrestle, like, other random teams like Sasha Banks and them, which might work to develop the division itself.
I'm not exactly sure which direction they're going to go with that, but to me, Paige is going to be fighting Charlotte for the Divas title. Mm-hmm. The next chance that the Divas championship is going to get defended.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know where they're going to go with the other ones. Just cancel all the teams. I'm sick of that. Make Naomi go against Sasha because she's jealous or something. Yeah. That's long overdue. I feel like that should be happening already. So
fair enough. So we'll move on to the Bray Wyatt segment where he has his little promo about why he did what he did in Hell in a Cell, into Kane coming into the ring because stepping up for his Brothers of Destruction kind of thing, and it's a setup.
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about how Survivor Series, the batch is already made.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's talking about how it's going to be the Wyatt family versus Undertaker, or Team Undertaker with Kane.
Yeah.
And like
the Brothers of Destruction reunion, or was it the Ministry of Darkness?
Yeah, something like that. So, with that being said, it's kind of an interesting way to get towards that. But I can't believe Undertaker's going to be in another pay-per-view right away. It was much better when you see him less frequently. It builds more on his prestige. But now that you're going to be seeing him on so many pay-per-views in a row,
I think it's a matter of ratings, though. They're getting kind of nervous.
Yeah.
So they have to use the trump card, Undertaker and Brock. He'll be. Oh, we didn't even talk about Brock. We can do that in a second.
But and why doesn't Bray Wyatt ever win matches anymore?
Yeah.
He's the new face of fear. No, he's the face of like
losing and then picking a new target.
Yeah, that's what he does. He loses matches. Yeah. He goes to the next feud.
But I kind of found that funny in his whole promo. He made it okay to switch targets because he's like, Roman Reigns, we're gonna sell this later. Time and how a typical superstar would be one feud onto the next. They don't really revisit old feuds until later.
Mm-hmm.
But he physically said, so it's okay for him to switch feuds. He needs to refuel, consume Undertaker and all this power before he goes back to Roman Reigns. So at least they addressed it.
Yeah, they did. I thought that was kind of interesting. Kane came out.
Yeah.
Got beaten up by everybody. It's funny how Kane, all of a sudden, he has a new, feud that he just randomly picked.
I'm just glad they got rid of Corporate Kane.
Yeah, okay. Me too.
Okay. So we'll head to the main event of this Raw. Very, very smooth Raw. There was not a lot of popcorn matches, and the 3 hours was filled very well. So what happened was Roman Reigns beat Kofi Kingston.
Which was really obvious that he was going to win, just like the pay-per-view, right? You kind of know who's going to win, or you have the idea, but in between was actually really good. Kofi Kingston put on a show, so did Roman Reigns, but he gets the win.
Obviously.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so then we have Kevin Owens versus Cesaro.
Kevin Owens wins clean. That was really interesting for a bit, because I thought he was taunting Michael Cole. It was really funny. He's like, take a look at this, Michael Cole. He's like, what are you laughing at? I just love when he does that.
Yeah, he plays to the crowd, and he's a good heel.
Yeah.
Then we had Neville versus Alberto Del Rio. I had my eyes on this match. It was glued. The technicality and you can tell both these guys are very high level wrestlers, and I thoroughly enjoyed this match. We knew who was gonna win, but getting to that point, I didn't mind at all.
Okay, yeah. Did you feel like he was having more trouble with Neville, Alberto Del Rio? He was having more problems with Neville than he did with John Cena the night before?
A little bit, yeah.
Me? Yeah, so I thought he beat John Cena.
I think that was
really easily.
Yeah, but I think it was how they booked the pay-per-view itself, because how the top 3 matches, they had really long time segments, especially the main event. So if they had another 30-minute match with Cena Alberto, they wouldn't have enough time. Which reminds me, they didn't even have the 6-man tag, or the one where it's Randy versus Dean. I think that might have been one of the reasons.
Randy and Dean
versus the remaining of the Wright family. It just never happened.
Yeah, and they never even mentioned it.
Exactly. So I think that's why they were really booked on time, because the main event itself was 45 minutes. So yeah, I do. To your point though, definitely
it seemed like it.
Yeah. But I think it was really good for the Raw though. The crowd was really into the match. Super high level. They're doing some crazy stuff that I haven't seen in a while.
And you see how he's fighting really aggressive and dirty. It's as if he's a bad guy. But the crowd it's eating this up, and I love it.
It's pretty interesting though. They haven't quite established if Alberto is going to be a heel or a more of a good guy. Although it's kind of implied in the main event when he's teaming up with Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
But definitely interesting. They can still go either way. And the last one is Dolph versus Big E, with a guest appearance by Tyler Breeze and Summer Rae.
I thought Tyler Breeze was going to make his appearance on the U.S. Open Challenge at Hell in a Cell, but this is a pretty close guess. I got to say, he came on the next day on Raw. He had that selfie stick, the VIP section with the bouncer in front, and that little red velvet rope thingy. I thought that was really, really funny, actually.
So I guess that's a little foreshadowing of the next feud for Dolph.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine. It's cool. They're both kind of like a similar character. One's a douchebag. One's kind of like the heartthrob, show-off kind of guy.
In this match, the one with Big E versus Dolph, I thought that was the only match that was a little bit unpredictable. Because the other 3 matches, you know who the winner is.
That's true.
You really do. But the Big E versus Dolph, I usually have an idea, but I was thinking that Big E could possibly win the match, just because it would be cool to have the New Day ringside during the Fatal 4-Way.
But in hindsight, if you look at it, they did it strategically where it's 2 good guys, Roman Reigns and Dolph, and 2 heel bad guys in Kevin Owens and Alberto. Just, to give it a little bit of balance. But let's jump into the main event itself, which I thought was amazing because we haven't had a Fatal 4-Way in a long time, especially in a Raw. And I honestly didn't know the result, like how it was going to end based on the match. So many close 2.5 pin calls, kickouts.
Yeah,
I should have known Roman was going to win, but they had me convinced. I was guessing, which makes it a great main event, right?
I think it's a big thing because of Alberto Del Rio. I thought he was doing really well, and there was a chance he was gonna win.
Exactly, right? He can shock the world. They kept talking about how he can win 2 championships, do what Seth did.
But to me, when I was actually watching it with the people I was watching it with, I was saying the whole time, Roman Reigns is hanging at the bottom, waiting to come in and spear somebody at the last moment and just get the win.
But they kind of did it. And then they kicked out. So because I always had that in the back of my head. But they did that once with the Superman punch, and I think it was Kevin Owens or Alberto. One of them they kicked out, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." There might be a chance that because at one point it looked like Kevin Owens is gonna win. And at another point, at one point it looked like all 4 of them had a chance to win, which means it was a pretty well booked match.
It was. It was definitely a pay-per-view caliber main event type of match. Fatal 4-Ways are always really good because they can do special moves, but someone else can come and help them out. I thought it was a great match overall. Roman Reigns does get the win. So the future of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, it could easily go to Roman Reigns in the next pay-per-view.
I think they're leading towards maybe more of a WrestleMania build-up because they probably want him to win in WrestleMania. That's my early prediction. But, I mean, the main event itself, it's funny, though, because I always notice these Fatal 4-Ways, everybody falls off the ring, extra, just so then you can have a little segment where it's just 2 people. And then the camera work was pretty well, too. Pretty well done, too, so you can see what's going on outside the ring and inside. But one last thing I wanted to touch on the main event was Seth Rollins' commentary. It was actually, respectable in the sense where he was they were trying to make him seem like an honorable defending champion, not a heel.
Especially JBL.
It was kind of throwing me off because especially towards the end when Roman Reigns won, I thought maybe he'd jump in and try to get a couple of licks at him, but none of that happened. So I think they're trying to build it to be more of a close one-on-one, really no distractions kind of match. I don't know how I feel about that.
My early prediction is that Seth Rollins, just right now, I can obviously change it if I feel like.
You reserve the right.
I reserve the right to change my prediction. I think Roman Reigns is going to beat him for the title. And I think Seth Rollins is going to have some beef with the Authority and face Triple H at WrestleMania. That is my early prediction right now. I reserve the right to change it at any time.
I don't buy it because I don't think Triple H wants to lose matches anymore. He beat Sting last WrestleMania. It took him a lot of work to get back into wrestling shape, because I don't think he's gonna go through that again.
That's my early prediction. If it happens, you guys heard it here first. WBR Podcast. This is MFA.
Well, I don't know. Well, final thoughts. Overall, really solid Raw.
I thought it was such a good Raw. The 4-way, Fatal 4-Way match with the 4 matches before that to see who's eligible to face it in it. I thought that was great.
And a big key thing is no John Cena this Raw. And the segments filled up pretty well. It was pretty entertaining. I don't know how the ratings are gonna do, but I personally enjoyed the Raw.
I didn't notice that there was no John Cena until about an hour after, and it just hit me. I was like, this is a really entertaining Raw. One of the best ones ever.
Yeah.
To me.
Not in a long time.
And it just hit me that John Cena wasn't a part of it at all later in the day. So to me, they might not need him for the next few weeks when he's on his leave. So
maybe he already started his leave.
Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah,
I think this is a really positive sign, but especially because the Mexican market is going to be occupied.
But I think the big test is next Monday Night Raw, after the hype of Hell in a Cell is gone and they don't have an easy direction where to lead Raw in. So let's see how they're gonna fill out 3 hours next Raw, and if it can be on par of how entertaining was this Raw. If it can be, I think we're onto something, right?
I absolutely agree with that, because you're right. Hell in a Cell was just yesterday, so we're all kind of reeling from the hype. So next week, when they have to promote the next pay-per-view, that's when things usually tend to get a little bit more dull. So if they can pass that and it actually make an entertaining Raw, then yeah, they're definitely onto something. And Alberto Del Rio is the reason. That's my...
Okay, rate the Raw before we get out of here.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
9 out of 10 Raw.
8 out of 10 because of those video game plugs.
Oh, yeah.
In between. That really turned me off.
There's got to be promotion somewhere, man.
I understand why, but they're so blatant with it. No. And then they just use Stone Cold for, no reason. Yeah. However, The Miz is pretty funny, I guess.
Yeah, no, but, 9 out of 10 for me.
8 out of 10.
I thought it was great.
All right. We'll catch you guys on the next pod. WBR, sign off.